Welcome to 2024, my good cave crew, and it is a new year, and it's a new me, and you know what? 2024 is going to be my year. It's going to be my year. Mine! It's going to be our year, and it's probably not going to be too much different than yesterday, but that's besides the point. We need to get in some very highly esteemed technical analysis today because we have TRB running like 3x, or at least in the overnight hours. Looks like it traded up from $200 to $600. So I figured that would be a nice little topic of conversation today. And then, of course, we'll go into some Bitcoin action. I still want to save the big Bitcoin video probably for tomorrow. So I think, yeah, we'll keep things a little bit more on the shorter side. And in a more sincere tone, I do want to wish you the best of the best to the start of 2024, whether it's a new year, a new you, or whether it's just another same old, all good, man. Or well, man, all the best to you as this new day emerges in the year of 2024 on the first day of January. And let's just get right into the charts right in over here. So what I'm talking about is TRB. I've never heard of this damn thing before. It's been around for a little bit of time, I guess. It's been around since 2020, or actually 2019, end of 2019. So it does have a bit of history right here. And we did see that there was a pretty significant move in the overnight session. Pretty much all done over the course of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. So it was kind of prolonged there, but basically we did see TRB go from about $200 to $600 plus. And again, this is something that's a little bit relatively more established than a lot of the general shit coins that you typically see within this market. You know, it's been around for multiple years. So seeing something like this is, well, it's kind of interesting. But the real question is now, what happens? You know, what is most likely to happen as of right now? I think the best thing to look at this would be the HPDR bands as usual. And what do you know? This is something you don't see every day or often at all, or even then in the new year. 2024 is not going to be the year for TRB, or at least the last day was not. But we do see a major wick, even above the 100% of historic returns range high here, which is just I don't even think I've seen that happen on something that's had more than a few years of history. So that is very significant. Anyways, this was all done on max volatility. This was all done on max directional volatility as well. You know, these are extremes. You don't need me to tell you that. But in this case, what is most likely to happen from here? Well, we're very likely going to see volatility cool off. And in this case, volatility cooling off does correlate to a range being formed between about 170 and about, what is this, like 250, 260, something like that, for a while. Now, long term, I actually would like to say on this thing, and again, I've never really looked at this before, but long term, this thing actually probably does trade sideways and up from this region, but you know, it's very long term, probably months down the road. Speaking of months, we can even look at the monthly right here, and yeah, you know, it's not terrible long term, but ultimately, you know, in the more near term and the more medium term, probably even over the next month or two, probably trades a lot of sideways from here. Really only bearish on this thing below about $100 on a closing basis, and at that point, yeah, it's going to fall apart. But for the most part, I'd be looking for that range between about 170 and mid 200s to emerge from this. And you know, if you got caught in a storm like this, basically what I'm trying to say is that I wouldn't be waiting. But again, that's just personal opinion. But at least, you know, a little bit of action within this market as things, you know, are pretty quiet, especially on, you know, a holiday. I mean, this is basically it is not just basically a holiday, it quite literally is a holiday. So speaking of that, let's go over to Bitcoin. CME is closed still for Monday, so nothing to really update there. But as far as Bitcoin on the daily HPDR bands goes, we can see that it is still oscillating and still kind of holding the bottom side of the blue 50% of historic returns range low. Which does imply that, especially on low volatility here, that there is going to be a chance for a major higher low. In fact, we did just hit basically 0 percentile, just ever so slightly above 0 percentile on Saturday. So in this case, I'd say that this is starting to get pretty mature. Remember last week when we said, hey, you know, things are likely to kind of continue sideways here into the end of the year. I would say this week we probably do see resolution on this current formation. At least that's quite likely. Probably not today. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, very, very likely. And the longer that this goes on, the more and more naturally bearish it will actually get. But for right now, I would still say that as long as Bitcoin is especially above the Monday of 18th of December lows, it does still have, it does still have obviously higher lows. And more importantly, the Boo laws do have, well, that in their favor, which is going to be accompanied by potential for hidden bullish divergence over here of multiple drive variety as the daily RSI is making significantly lower lows, even all the way to 50%, not 50%, but just 50 level right here. And of course, we do see that even on the lows that we saw back on over in mid and early December, daily RSI was actually already, was actually already higher at that point. So and shit, even now that I recognize it, back into late November, on these lows over here when Bitcoin was trading in the mid 30,000s, again, daily RSI was actually higher than what we're seeing right now. So potential for hidden bullish divergence, but potential is not the same thing as confirmed. How would you confirm something like that in this particular scenario? You need to confirm this price action right here as a local low. How would you confirm that as a local low? Well, realistically have to see this one close back above about 43,000 bucks. On at least a 12-hour, preferably a daily in this case. In fact, I'd probably just say a daily, just because this one's been kind of trading onwards and sideways for a while now. But yes, if Bitcoin does start to close back above, let's say 43,100 or 43,200, sorry, 43,200, then yes, higher low confirmed, hidden bullish divergence confirmed. Bitcoin holds the bottom side of the blue 50% of historic returns range lows plus extreme lows on volatility, thus implying that, well, this is likely to accelerate to the upside from there. And also HPDRO directional volatility, potentially even playing out this trend line over here throughout this little consolidation, marking off the last couple lows. So, that is essentially the bullish look on this one. Again, it all kind of hinges upon Bitcoin's ability to reclaim 43,200. I would really say before Thursday. Although that's not super scientific what I'm saying. That's just a personal opinion. But if you do see that happen, then yes, Bitcoin likely does have one more drive on this rally, on this overall rally, probably to low 47s, maybe even 48. Something like that. As you can see, that's where the 50% of historic returns range high is coming in right now. And to be fair, I mean, it actually probably would trade above there just because, lows on volatility like this are not going to be just a range move most likely. But yeah, it most importantly, it would imply that January, maybe even February, does continue on with the overall rally. But keep in mind, Bitcoin still very, 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 very likely to play out a major retracement sometime in Q1, to the tune of like 25 to 40%. And it really just depends how high this first major rally gets, before that becomes, well, a major topic of conversation. If Bitcoin, plays at the retracement from here, well, you're probably looking at mid to low $30,000 territory. And how would that be confirmed? Well, the easiest way would just be back below 18th of December lows, get about 40,500. Especially on a closing basis would do it for me. And then if this just kind of, trails on for like another week here without really breaking up or down, I'd say that's starting to look kind of bearish as well. But also on top of that, we do have, and I'll save the bulk of this analysis for tomorrow's video, as I think it's going to be more and more relevant here. But the 2-day time frame is going to start to have a setup here on the volatility versus stochastic momentum signature. It's not quite, it's not quite mature enough just yet. I expect that this one's going to stay down here for a little bit of time, but as of right now, the 2-day time frame stochastic momentum is positioned to the downside as long as Bitcoin's below 43,800. And that's also going to be in conjunction with the 5-day coming in from extreme levels here as well, as long as Bitcoin's below 43,200. 43,200 also going to be the area that I spoke about earlier, in kind of confirming this area, that Bitcoin's current price action as a higher low. So if Bitcoin does reclaim that, not just will you see a higher low formed, but also 5-day stochastic momentum would turn back onto the upside. I think weekly as well. Actually, weekly is a little bit higher there, so fair enough. 44,100 is going to be the magical number. So, again, higher term timeframes, the more and more that things kind of just glide sideways here, they're going to start to favor the downside. And remember, this particular setup with the 2-day time frame, on average produces a move of about 25 to 30%. So coming off of these current highs, what would that look like? Well, 20% down puts Bitcoin at about 35.5. 30% down puts Bitcoin closer to like 31, 32 region. I do think that personally, I think that would be less likely. But for right now, still, as long as Bitcoin is above that last local low, have to kind of favor the boo laws. But man, it's getting fucking close here. And like I said, based off of volatility reads, we're very likely to see resolution this week. I feel quite confident in saying that. Unlikely today, just because today's Monday and it's a holiday. But Tuesday's game on yet again. And from there, well, it's game on. I mean, there's really not much else to say. We can actually see, a break of this current range. Looking at CME, it's kind of the same thing. It's less aggressive here as well, but also seemingly has does not have that same sort of local low that we do see on Monday of 18th of December. Still kind of relevant there, but 40,700. I'm not getting anything super unique from this. Maybe we could go check out Stochastic momentum just to see if there's anything in particular over here. 2-day time frame is going to be position to the downside as long as Bitcoin's below 43,200. Again, that number just continues to come on up. So that's the big one, I do suspect. And 5-day time frame is going to be freshly turning down below 43,450. So, is there room for another extension on this rally here? Let's say, again, the more that time transpires without Bitcoin reclaiming that region, especially within like the next week, maybe 10 days, it's going to have to at least be looking for this year to open up on that first range retracement, which would actually be kind of nice to get that over with right off the bat. But scare probably a few people as well. And traditional markets probably same thing here too, right? Traditional markets close the years on their highs on extreme levels. Now I do think that the overall rally continues into 2024. Kind of similar to Bitcoin, but opening this year up on a pullback below $17,000 on NAS, for example, like that's completely reasonable. Maybe even a little bit lower towards like low 16s, like 16.3, 16.4 region, definitely possible as well. Same thing on SPY futures here as well, a little bit less strong than NASDAQ, but long term throughout 2024, expect new all-time highs. First quarter of 2024, that'd be a damn good time for a bit of a pullback. The question is, do we get that pullback right off the bat, or do we get it closer to like February, March? Because, and I realize I'm getting a little bit deeper into this video, but I suspect that, the people who are tuning in during these times, you're probably more tuned to the market and you're probably actually happen to give a fuck. So I'll go a little bit more in depth with this. Just general market knowledge here. So in traditional markets, especially, the first of the quarter is always a big day. The reason why it's a big day is because that is when new money comes into the market for big hedge fund managers. And so they, are typically going to allocate and so they do a lot of their buying, around that time. In this case, could that align with an extension of this rally first? That's why I still kind of keep that door open, because that sort of an understanding does make actually a lot of sense, especially with all like I keep on getting these fucking questions about like events for Bitcoin, right? What about the ETF? What about this and that? All this shit, it's not tangible. Like it's not that it's not tangible. It's just you don't have as much control over that as you do with like actual givens and even then it's like, is it going to be a sell the event? Is it going to be a buy the event? Everyone has their great opinion about that. You don't hear me talk about it at all because at the end of the day, price action is king. Price action is the most pure form of understanding things because that's where people actually represent their thoughts anyways. So it's like, who gives a fuck about speculation on that? There's really no objective way to kind of go over it. Is it going to be a sell the event? Is it going to be the buy the event? I don't know. But what I do know, first of the month or first of the year, first week of the year, typically is new money coming into the market more often than not. So that's why I do still, amongst other reasons, still favor the boo laws. But mostly just because of trend right here. Again, however, below the 18th of December low, this thing's very likely coming down probably hard and fast. Stops along the way, below 39 and probably again somewhere around like 36.5, but finally, probably settles its way into the mid 30s. Until then, boo law's got a few things in their favor, but I would say probably this next week, maybe 10 days, maybe early next week. You can still kind of make an excuse for them, but if you are going to be bullish here, what I'm trying to say is that you do expect Bitcoin to reclaim at minimum 43,200 like relatively soon. So I'll leave things on that note. I hope that you're having a nice, happy and healthy day on this first day of 2024. No matter which day it is, all good. It's been a pleasure here anyways. And soon enough, we're coming up on the 6-year anniversary of this channel, which is fucking sweet. It's kind of crazy because I didn't even really recognize like how long things have been going. But it's been a pleasure. So got that to look forward to, got a lot of things to look forward to. Hopefully you're having a good day. With that said, take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.